program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Bilal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gon' give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
What is up? Hope you all had a great Cinco de Mayo today. It is episode 62, Remember the Show. I'm Jason Anik, joined by my celebrity co-host, Bilal Muhammad. So I don't play video games, Bilal, but it's about damn time. Put some respect on my boy's name in UFC 4. How about that, man? I love it.
Yeah, honestly, it's crazy, man. It's like growing up, you never think that you'll be in a video game. You play video games all the time, Madden and stuff. You always create a player, but now I got a real one in there, so it's sick.
I love it. And Kai Car-France in there as well with you today, right?
Yeah,
couple of studs. Like what? Like what took so? I don't get it. Like I really don't get it.
Honestly, it's crazy. Yeah, because I'll look at it, and then people will send me like, "Didn't you beat this guy? How come he's in the game? How come you're not in the game?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's coming. I don't know. But you know, they
like
got the haircut right, they got everything perfect. Everything's on point. So it was worth.
No, exactly. No, you look terrific. I liked hearing my brother say, "Remember the name." I kept watching your live. I was getting all fired up. Like, is Sugar Sean O'Malley in the game?
Yeah, he's in the game, but Cheeto Vera's not in the game. That's surprising.
I don't even know what to say. Well, certainly they had the audio ready for you. Well, I love it. Anyway, boots on the ground or Crocs on the ground in Phoenix, right, Bully? Doing some television tomorrow?
Yeah. We got the weigh-in show, the fun one in the morning, so it should be a good time. It's gonna be me,
nice.
Laura Sanko, Dan Healy. So yeah, that's a cool one. I was just talking with Dean Thomas right now. He said, "Oh man, that's the funnest show. You get to play games and stuff and have fun." I was like, "All right."
I love it. Well, I mean, your left eye looks terrific, I must say. Just but hey, it don't matter. You're a fighter, you know.
So, you should have saw it a couple days ago. It was like all super red. The guy was like, the doctor's like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna take like a week for the blood to go." I'm like, "A week?" I'm like, "Bro, come on."
Hey,
like, yeah, you know, but you can jog and stuff now. And I'm like, "All right."
Hey, think about Bisping. You know, you'd be just fine. You know. So, well, we'll get you tuned up, I guess, tonight. Give you a little warm up. You know, so obviously we're going to go through some of these fights, but I remember like when you first started doing TV, and like I'm not trying to like give away the show, but are you doing the pre-show stuff too, where you have to make picks?
Yeah.
It's because that's fascinating, because I'm sure at some point you have to pick opposite sides, but this is your show, so we'll pick them here. And if you got to switch it up for any reason on the television set, that's I guess
they
not
get
our
the real
business.
stuff here.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to do all 5 on the main card, but I have to ask you first. I got to just shout out Rude Boy, you know, former Remember the Show guest. Great fight versus Chaos Williams in your division. I'm fascinated about that fight. How do you see that one rolling quickly in the welterweight division?
Yeah, honestly, that's an exciting one. Especially, like you said, Rude Boy, he's been getting better every single fight, especially that last fight, his head movement, the footwork, that nasty up kick. It was good. And like, I like the way that he's going to different gyms. He's training. We've seen him like at Kings MMA training with Marvin Turi and those guys out there. And I like fighters that do that type of thing, because that tells me that you want to evolve. And he's evolving every single fight. Chaos Williams got that one punch power. And I think he was training with Trevor Whitman down there for a little bit this camp.
Interesting.
But yeah, so you know, Trevor Whitman's a genius. So just getting to work with him is crazy. But I just think that Rude Boy's a little bit too long. He's one of the biggest guys in the division, and having fought him, like it's hard to deal with that type of that length. You like, it's surprising how he's over there and he can hit you or kick you, and you can't even touch him. So I think I'm gonna like Rude Boy in this fight. He's getting better every single fight. I think he just had the tougher competition. He's fought, so he's been through the ups and downs in the UFC. Chaos Williams still young in the game in the UFC, but I think that it's a little bit too early for him to beat Rude Boy.
Well, I'm excited, man. I always like when there's a prelim like that I'm sort of juiced about. But anyway, you know, we didn't do Bicks last week, so we're going to give you 5 Bicks tonight, probably for the first time I remember the show. So, Mr. Merrow, if you'd be so kind, we'll roll with the Bicks. There we are. All right, dude. So just gonna start right out. Main card, lightweight division. Donald Cerrone, Joe Lauzon. I mean, it's nuts when I go through this card. Some of the veterans and the longevity for these guys. I mean, so Lauzon, 37, won his UFC debut back in 2006. You know, where was Belal? And
2006? That's
where were
crazy.
you in 2006, bro? It's
I
nuts.
was graduating high school.
Right? Anyway, so Lauzon's still cashing checks. He hasn't fought, though, since back in 2019, a win over Jonathan Pierce. Cowboy just turned 39 in March. He's winless in his last 6, I believe. Yes. So this Legends division, who do you have? It's close fight. Donald Cerrone minus 180. Lauzon plus 155.
Yeah, I feel like they're exact opposites when it comes to the beginning of the fight. Like Donald Cerrone is a very slow starter. Lauzon's a super fast starter. But I think Lauzon's been out 2 years. Donald Cerrone feels like he's been out for 4 years. Like you said, like you're not used to a guy like that losing 6 fights in a row. And hearing him in his interviews, you can tell he's getting very passionate. And I don't know. I think that this could be his last one, the way he's talking about it. And I just feel like he doesn't want to go out with 7 losses in a row. And I know that I've been in Vegas probably like 4 times in the last like 2 months or 3 months. And his truck's always there. You see his thing right in front of the PI. So he's there training. You see him inside there. He's working out. And he did like an interview today or something like that where he said that, like, I got my trailer by the PI. I nap in there in between training sessions, and I'm taking everything seriously. You know, the last 2 years, training on the farm, it's like, all right, I'll practice, then I'll do my own thing. It's not like I'm taking it serious. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give excuses or anything like that, but like this camp, I did everything I could. And I don't know. I just like me a Donald Cerrone here. I feel like this is the one that's he's gonna be able to switch it up on these guys. You know, a lot of the other guys he's been fighting are younger, up and comer guys that want to make their name off him. Lauzon's been in the game for so long. It's a respect thing. So like he's already on the edge of wanting to retire anyway himself. So who knows if he's put that much effort into training. I know that Cerrone looks like, you know, like I said, he doesn't want to lose 7 in a row. I think he actually put the work in. He's training with Yair. I saw him training with Anthony Pettis. So he's working with some top guys, and I hope he wins, honestly.
Hey, maybe a little fight of the night for both these boys, and they can both go out sort of on a high note. I wouldn't mind seeing it. Another couple of, guys, and I wouldn't necessarily say long in the teeth, but just long on experience. So light heavyweight bout. Next one, Shogun, Ovince St. Preux. So Shogun hasn't fought since November 21st, 2020, being knocked out by Paul Craig that night. But he made his UFC debut 15 years ago. Shogun won the championship 12 years ago. I mean, it's insane. You know what I mean? I know he takes a few years off. But it's like back in the octagon, the main event on an enormous pay-per-view, Anyway, St. Preux has lost 3 or 4. I think he really needs a win here. How do you see this one going down? Pretty close. Shogun's actually 2-1 dog. So St. Preux, pretty significant favorite here.
Yeah, it's a rematch of the nasty knockout that St. Preux knocked him out. But I feel like over St. Preux, I mean, he's big. He's athletic. He's just not. I don't think he's getting better in every fight. Like, there's no evolution in his game at all. Like, I feel like he's the same fighter, the same guy that he was when he first got into the UFC. And that style works just because he's so just strong and he just has brute force. He can knock anybody out with any punch. But like, he's playing around. He went up to heavyweight, then he came back down to 205, and he missed weight by a lot when he fought Jamal Hill. I just don't think he's as dedicated to training and evolving. But like I said, he's athletic. And Shogun's kind of old right now. He's been through it all. He's one of the Brazilian legends. I feel like this is probably one of his last fights. So I'm gonna pick another legend here. I'm gonna go with Shogun this time. Want to get that knockout back.
I hear you. I'd love to see him come in as a 2-1 underdog too.
Yeah.
But some of these guys, when they've been out, like Lauzon out since 19, like I'm certainly not following where he's been. It's tough to gauge, man, when these guys been out so long.
But Lauzon's been coaching, and then like you said, like Shogun, like I feel like maybe with the older guys, sometimes it's better that they've taken off to let their chin and body rest a little bit, because I mean they already know how to fight. They know what a punch is. It's gonna be like riding a bike once they get back in there. I don't think that they'll have any ring rust at all.
Yeah.
With how much the work they've been putting in.
I hear you. All right, dude. So the top 3 fights, man, just fire on this card. So
yeah.
I'm really interested to see what you think about the lightweight bout. So, Chandler, it's amazing just how confident this guy is, off 2 losses. I know against killers, but still, he's just like, you'd never know dude had lost 2 in a row. It's just, he walks around like he's a champ. I love it. So he did have great moments in both those fights. I don't know if you saw, but so his son Hap is going to be in the building for the first time for Chandler, right? And he was asked about it at the press conference, and it definitely struck a different nerve. And he's basically like, I'm just going to sort of try not to focus on that until sort of afterwards, or hopefully I can give him a hug. Obviously, I think Chandler I get very excited to watch him compete. Ferguson, I mean, he's, I know he's lost 3 in a row, but Dariush, the Bronx, Gaethje, it's like, you can't really say much, but dude, 11 years ago, the dude was on Ultimate Fighter. So it's obviously been a long time. I don't really know what to expect from Tony Ferguson at this stage. What do you expect from him? What do you expect from Chandler? How does this one play out in Bully's mind?
Yeah, it's crazy that Chandler, like you said, Chandler's on a 2-fight losing streak, but it doesn't feel like it. Fight of the year candidate with Gaethje.
Right.
Had the titles in his hands when he fought Oliveira. Yeah. Literally grasped it, and it's like, it's nuts how easily stuff could switch in a fight with just like making a wrong turn and making the wrong move. But honestly, I like Chandler here. He starts off so strong. He got power in his hands. Sometimes he fights very stupid for fan entertainment instead of, winning a fight. Like, well, he'll drop his hands against Justin Gaethje and let Justin Gaethje punch him in the face. And your coach is telling you, like, bro, you don't need to be that tough. We already know you're tough. Let's win this fight. And sometimes that hurts you. And a guy like Tony Ferguson, who's going to be throwing nasty elbows, has power in his hands as well. You don't want to get in a brawl with him, man. You don't want to make it an ugly fight. The last 2 guys that fought Tony, they used heavy grappling on him, heavy wrestling. Oliveira took him down, controlled him on the ground, had him in a nasty arm bar. He didn't tap. Dariush went the same route, wrestled him down to the ground, took him down, held him down. Even Justin Gaethje, where it's not like Tony went out. Tony was out on his feet. The ref had to stop him from himself just because he's so tough. And if you're a guy like Chandler who's going to just sit there and throw bombs at you in that first round, may end up gassing yourself out trying to finish a guy like Tony because Tony's a hard guy to put away. And then when Tony sees blood in the water and sees you tired, he's going to go for the break. And I just don't think Chandler has that in him to, like, we saw in the Gaethje fight, even in the 3rd round, he looked like he gassed out a little bit. He got tired. Even though those takedowns he attempted on Gaethje, they were really telegraphed. And if he doesn't have those spots in this fight where he's taking Tony down to hold him down a little bit and controlling him on the ground a little bit, I think he'll end up getting tired in the 3rd round. And I just think I just talked myself out of picking Chandler.
I know.
But,
I like it.
But Tony blocked me on Twitter, so I think I'm gonna stick with the Chandler pick. But as you're looking at Tony's weird because hearing him in his interviews, he has a chip on his shoulder, but he has a lot of excuses as well, where he's like, "Oh, I wasn't training as hard those last 3 fights," and I hate guys that come up with excuses. Just keep it real. You fought you fought Oliveira, you fought Gaethje, both of them are fighting for the title, and you fought Dariush, who's probably next in line for the title. So, it's not like you lost the bump. You lost the 3 of the best in the division. Just say they were better than you on that night. Don't say I wasn't training, I wasn't listening to music. This fight camp, I'm doing everything the right way, the exact right way. Because if you go out there and you lose, it's like you got nothing else to fall back on, and you got no other excuses. So, I'm gonna talk myself back into to Chandler. I'm gonna go with Chandler here getting a finish.
I like it. All right. So the most important question is: did EA Sports give you the trademark shades? Good question from our boy.
That is a big question. I didn't open it yet. I gotta go play it.
That's a great question. And you know what? I hate to say it, but I think John said Bilal.
Come on, John.
I'm gonna hammer him. It was sort of close, but anyway, I'll hammer him on that. Dude, so I want to, you brought up a good point talking about excuses, and I had to bring up the Rob Font weight cut real quick. Because I heard him in an interview with Megan O'Leary, say, I guess I probably come in a little bit lighter next time.
Oh, after the fight?
No, before.
Oh.
You know what I mean? After he didn't make weight. And so, I know, like, I'm not passing any judgment on Rob Font, certainly, but I know guys like you don't want to hear anything about it not coming off. And so I was very interested to see him sort of, I don't want to say throw himself under the bus, but definitely just utter the phrase that maybe I'll come in a little bit lighter. And once you hear that, it's very hard to figure that one out, I guess, for me.
Yeah, I mean, well, honestly, he paid for it because Vera got the full $100,000 and a piece of his check. So, like, next time you're for sure gonna come in lighter. It's gonna, all these other fighters. Like, I love that they're doing it now, where they're giving the guy both bonuses if it happens that way. Sometimes before, I think they weren't giving the fight was off limits of getting a bonus. A fight the guy was over. So now that he's doing $100,000 to the other guy, I really like that because it's gonna make other guys think about that too, and it's gonna make you that last 1 or 2 pounds. Is that worth $50,000? And I'm sure it would have been worth $50,000 to stay in the sauna extra hour, 2 hours. I don't care what would have happened to get the extra $50,000.
Well, and also, I mean, this is a weight class where he's been comfortably. That's it's like certainly I know Jared went down to 145. Jared Gordon at one point. Like certainly there are moments where you know what I mean. But this is sort of his wheelhouse, I would think. So I would certainly expect him to make weight in his next fight. And I don't know. I just his striking. I mean, it's just. I mean, it was a fascinating. I'm sitting there watching a lot of it, and he really felt like he was sort of winning a lot of the rounds, but he wasn't. You know what I mean? He was
doing so well. I was like, he would win the first 3 minutes of every round, look really good, and then get caught with something. And I just think that it's their defense a little bit because like he does a really good volume, and then he'll have that moment where he'll slip up or maybe get a little bit too looking at his striking a little bit too much. And then that's when Cheeto will catch him with something right in the middle, or he'll drop his hands a little bit and Cheeto will come over the top and catch him with something, or those side kicks where Cheeto's so good at like hitting you from all angles. You don't know where the strike's going to come from. And I don't think Font was staying alert the whole time.
I hear you. It's interesting because like you think about the body kicks for you against Luke, and sometimes it's very difficult to determine like significant strikes. It's like this whole despair, like what is significant? Like how many of those shots from Font were really landed if Cheeto's spending the first 3 minutes of the round, like dicking around, just fucking blocking everything. You know what I mean? It's like, how significant are those strikes? I don't know, man. Like is a significant strike mean that it landed,
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like I was talking to Will Harris and he was talking to me about Kobe, and he was like, Usman was telling him that Kobe strikes don't hurt at all, but like once it gets to like number like 120, then you start feeling it a little bit. So it's like, so do they wait till like when it gets to 120, then they'll start counting them as significant?
It's funny.
Well, so the reason I popped on was, Jay, because I think that's the funny part about a lot of this sport sometimes, because the rule set and the judging criteria says effective striking. What if the way that I define effective is different than the other person on the side of the octa? What if I'm from a Muay Thai gym and we call effective striking something different? Maybe aggression is a little bit more weighted in how you see effective striking. So I think it's a very interesting game that we play with the words sometimes.
I hear you, man.
Fun, yeah.
So I will say too, I was at the Apex for that last weekend's fights, and after the Andre Arlovski Jake Collier fight, and first of all, I know they talk about this on Anik and Florian podcast, but like the crowd was Andre, baby, you know what I mean? And I'm looking at these, referee, I'm with the UFC Roadshow a little bit here and there, so I'm looking at these, I'm meeting these referees in elevators, you know what I mean? I know who they are, and it was fascinating because they were all sort of really buzzing amongst themselves, even the ones who weren't judging that particular fight after the heavyweight fight. Like, how'd you have it? They were sort of like talking amongst themselves. And I'm not disclosing anything, but it's fascinating to see those cards come in with Collier getting the 30-27 and then losing the other two tightly. Because the crowd, that was the only, I don't know, man. So like, what did you think about that? I want to ask you about that. That was, Collier, man, seeing him come down those steps, man, it was like, I was so impressed with his performance. You get an opportunity to beat a legend. You think you do? I don't know, man. Give me a little on that.
That's the hard part, man. That's why it's crazy because like your career trajectory would go a whole different route, especially with Collier, where he's coming off a big finish, and then to be a legend, a guy like Andre Arlovski, where I thought he won it, honestly. I gave it to him, and then to have them take it from you, and you're like, you hear the first one, it's 30-27, you're like, oh, for sure I won. And then it goes 29-28, 29-28, and you're like how? But that's the crazy part about the sport, especially that's what makes you start thinking about open scoring, where you're like, you would have known that you're down 2 rounds.
Sorry, Tito, you gotta answer his question. He must not know about your eye surgery. Did Leon's eye poke permanently mess up your eye? It looks different.
Yeah, I had a blood clot in my eye, so I needed it's just clearing out. So this is from the Luque fight. After the fight, we had to do some laser surgery on there. But thanks for noticing. Appreciate you.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Leon on that other eye?
Yeah, Leon was the other one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's just Paulo Costa.
Dude,
Tito Perez.
Yeah.
I literally saw Paulo Costa tweet something about. I was like, where the heck did Paulo Costa come from? I was
Hey,
like,
Cody.
I know he decided to become a tweeter.
Yeah.
But he's been going dirty. I don't know. He's on that. He's about. I don't know what he's doing, or if it's really him controlling his stuff. But it's crazy.
Hey, Cody, can we see you for a minute on the television screen? Thank
How's it
you.
going?
Hey, so do you think Tony Ferguson? It's very hard for me to envision a scenario where Tony Ferguson wins this fight. I don't know why. I mean, talk to me. I'm just curious. Who you got?
No, I think the odds are the way they are for a reason. Even though leading into this next fight, I will say I think the odds makers are going to take a bath on the next fight. But I just think that it's such a tough matchup for Tony. I mean, they're feeding him to the wolves. Like Chandler's a dog. He's one of the youngest 34-year-olds in there, and Tony's one of the oldest 34-year-olds in there. I might be off on the age, but Tony's old. He's weathered. He had that huge streak where he wasn't rewarded for anything that he was putting out there. And then he got screwed over by COVID. I mean, essentially COVID is what canceled the last Tony Khabib fight, and it's gone forever. So just a string of bad luck for a guy who at one time was the boogeyman. People were turning down fights about him left and right. He was the Merab Dvalishvili of the 155-pound division. But yeah, I just think it's hard to lay any money or any type of pick on Tony when every time he goes out there, it kind of seems to get worse and worse and worse every time. And that's not a good trend that you like to see out of a fighter, especially someone like Tony who does not have quit in him. And sometimes you're your own worst enemy.
Yeah, and I hear you. And the age thing is really significant. I think like Bilal, you're definitely a young 32, 33, wherever you are. It really does. There are guys in the like James Harden's 33. I think he's done. He's the old 33. He's parties like an animal. Okay, he's an animal.
It's funny how you said that because like just seeing how Michael Chandler takes care of himself, his body, and things like that. Like you said, he's been through wars. Like in Bellator, he had wars with Eddie Alvarez, where you're thinking that, like, how is his chin still good? Even the battle he had with Justin Gaethje, and he's still here now, and he still looks good. He doesn't look like hurt or anything like that. So you can just tell that taking care of your health, doing the right type of training, taking care of your body, the recovery, you can tell he really does that. And
we lost you for a minute.
Somebody calling Bully is popular guy, number 5 in the world.
I can't imagine Bully walking around in Phoenix. Do we still have your voice, Bilal? We lost you, or we can't hear you. I mean, you look amazing, and there's been so many comments about your beard tonight. I don't know if you can hear. There you go. A lot of comments about the beard. Yeah, the beard does look tremendous.
Yeah, I had to get it right on TV.
Bullshit. Yeah, it's tight. I'm glad you're back on TV. I'm excited. All right, so where are we? Co-main event.
Well,
and Cody,
so I
you
just
might as well stay here for the.
Well, I wanted to say something that I thought was interesting, and that just came to my mind. I'm pretty sure that Askren was like 34, I think, when he came to the UFC. I mean, these two guys had literally entire careers that would have been fine with walking away, and then came to the UFC. So I just thought it was just a parallel that came to my mind. So I think maybe Chandler was 33 when he came to the UFC, but Askren 34. But I'm just saying, like you said, Chandler had a Hall of Fame MMA career before coming to the UFC, and so did Ben Askren. So I just think it's interesting. The miles, you don't get those miles back in this sport.
Heard.
You're not lying, yeah.
All right, so let's move to this co-main event. I'm curious. Cody certainly has a strong take. So Thug Rose and Cody, you have -2. Okay, where I play Rose is -240 right now, just for what it's worth. Obviously, well documented. The inaugural strawweight title went to Carla Esparza 7 years ago. So Carla's won 5 in a row. She hasn't been that active. Couple split decisions mixed in there. I understand this is a different challenge for Rose, and I understand Carla may, take her down all night. I just think it's a challenge that Thug Rose is more than capable of handling. And for all the killers that she's been faced with, and Andrade, I know that was a close fight, but she's been in there with Jessica Andrade. At this stage of her career, look, I'll probably be wrong. I don't gamble on MMA, but like Thug Rose, Carla Esparza, for another belt for Rose. It's very hard for me to see this go another way. And I know there's dissenting opinions on this. Bilal, you want to start, and then Cody, you finish it?
Yeah, it's funny. I went back and watched the first fight, and it's crazy how much Rose has changed since that fight. And probably changed a little bit, but like she's sharpened up her striking a little bit. Like, you know what her game plan is going to be 90% of time to take you down. What gets me nervous? I know Rose, her jab.
Hey,
yeah,
hey,
you're
Bully,
a
where you
little. It
at?
sounds like you're on dial-up internet, because I'm gonna kick you and have you come back in, because
Okay.
I don't want to miss this great analysis.
Yeah, and Cody, I'm gonna make you wait till he comes back in, because I think I know where you're going with this, but I want to wait till I want him to hear it in case he wants to come back at you.
Yeah,
and
that was
I
a
don't
blast
know,
from the
man. It's
past, huh? Sound like someone was making a phone call in the other room, right?
I'm surprised you remember that.
Get
There
off
he
the
is.
phone.
You're good.
Yeah, better.
Yeah, start talking. Well, you're
Okay.
frozen, but this is a nice
Yeah, I
frozen
don't
picture.
know if it's
Actually.
better. That's the question. Turn your Wi-Fi off. Those hotel Wi-Fi's are brutal. Yeah, and maybe that'll help out.
And I'm not usually even given necessarily a take on who I like, but this one, it's like I can't help myself. It's just and no disrespect to Carla. I just think Rose is so evolved since that fight, and I just
Well,
there we
it's
go.
not a pick to talk about the fight objectively, right? I mean, that's what you have to do when you walk up to the window. It's not, oh, this is how I feel. This is the sensitivity about this. I mean, Bully knows it's been 2 years of making Bix. You know, you're not in the Bix game to make friends. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
let's see
Depends on who's fighting.
Well,
Exactly.
depends on where you are. You know, when you're in Phoenix in the hotel, you know, look around corners a little bit.
It is true.
It's
So,
fun.
I
I think
bully.
it was Blagojevich. She was fighting on this card that was like, when I went to Ali event in like Vegas, he like came up to me and he's like, "You don't pick me last time." And I was like, "You look at my picks? I didn't even know you."
Isn't that the guy with a stab wound in his chest?
Yeah.
Like,
So I got a circle this week. I was like, "Bro, I didn't even know you pay attention to my picks, but I got you this time." Yeah, but
So we
talking about the
didn't
fight,
hear much. Yeah, you might as well start over. We didn't hear much.
Yeah, I went back and watched that fight, and it was just like crazy how much Rose is growing a lot. Carla, like I said, her stand-up's she's getting more comfortable with it, but you know, her bread and butters are wrestling. Rose does a very good job now of using her striking, staying long, using her distance. She doesn't do as much wild stuff. But what gets me a little bit nervous is her last fight against Zaylee. Yeah, and it's like Weili took her down, I think, probably 3 or 4 times. And, like, that wasn't her primary weapon. Like, Weili has very good striking. Carla, all she's going to do is shoot on you. You know what Carla's going to do? She wants to hold you down. She wants to keep you down. And she's going to keep doing it no matter how many times you get up. Rose got up a lot of times in that first fight. But Carla kept going. And finally, in the 3rd round, she took her back and submitted her. That's what gets me nervous about this fight. And that's what I feel like the UFC was kind of nervous about booking this fight, because obviously they want Rose to stay the champion. And Carla style is just a bad matchup for a lot of people. And people are scared of wrestlers and things like that. And but Trevor Whitman's such a genius. I think he's probably undefeated in rematches. Rose is so good in rematches. They figure out what happened in that first fight and change it a little bit. Even in her other fight, where the Weili fight was the first time was a quick knockout. Second fight, she still went 5 rounds, and she switched up a lot of things, and she did a great job against Joanna. First time she knocked her out. Second time she had to go 5 rounds, but she still looked very good, and it tells me that it was great game planning, and they figured out her opponent. I'm gonna go with Rose here. Honestly, I'm gonna stick with Rose here. I like Rose. I hope she wins. Just because I like her style, and I like just what she brings to the table. Carla's such a good person. You want to see her get that title back again, but I'm going to pick Rose here.
And you want to take the wrestler. I know you do. I know you want to. It's hard. I get it. All right, Cody, drop some knowledge.
So, Jay, I mean, I agree with whoever you play your money, because there's no world where Rose Namajunas is only a -200 favorite against Carla Esparza. I mean, the big factor for me is something that Bilal spoke about, is the fact that there are huge gaps that need to be overcome in this fight. And I just think one person has less of a gap than the other. So Rose was taken down in that second Weili fight 5 times versus 2. But if you remember, had a fantastic reversal, 7 minutes of control time, was really never in danger in any of that fight. And at the same time, Weili Zhang is Magnum. You're looking out for gunshots when you're fighting Weili. You're much more worried in the preparation for that fight about the striking. A lot of those takedowns I felt like were opportunistic, hunting for the single leg after some exchanges when you're not really thinking about it. There was this weird coming off the break situation that happened a lot in that fight. And I just feel like, yes, the Esparza wrestling is a higher level than Rose, but Rose's striking is so good that to take a step back from striking and training and be training with guys like Usman, fantastic defensive and offensive wrestlers like Gaethje, the planning of Trevor Whitman, Pat Barry in the corner, just amazing coach. I believe her wrestling coach is also Brock Lesnar's wrestling coach from Minnesota. Just so many things here that I think Rose is able to prepare for. When she does her best, when she's in a great mood, she is the best. I think it's a pretty clean Rose 5-0 win here.
And I do think Rose is stronger physically than she was 7 years ago in terms of being able to take down, handle the takedowns. So we'll see. I'm excited for it though. So main event, dude, can't wait for dude, this is fire.
Yeah.
All right. So Du Bronx undefeated since being technically knocked out by the Iron Lung, Paul Felder. Let's not sleep on that, okay? Give Paul Felder his due. That was 2017. But hey, fucking Paulie Felder, that's a nice feather in your cap, kid. Anyway, so Oliveira, obviously great everywhere. Certainly does not want this fight to go down the way the Chandler fight went down, because if you get in a moment like that, I'm not sure you're going to have the same result with the strap around your waist. Gaethje, I'd be lying if I told you I didn't want to see Justin Gaethje become an undisputed UFC champion. So for this one, for me, I can't really pick it. Not like I do, but I can't. I really want to see Gaethje realize this. And I also think it's a great matchup for Gaethje. As great as Oliveira is, I think with Trevor Whitman's sort of the way he sort of balanced out Gaethje's mind, I love Gaethje here. I think he's going to get it done. I think it's going to be a great night. I think Charlie Alves might go to sleep. Bully, talk to me.
Man, it's so crazy. Like literally, it's like there's so many ways this fight could go, and I can see it like happening a million different ways. And it's like anybody who says, "Oh, I know it's going to happen exactly this way," they don't know. They're lying, because there's like if they fought 25 times, I think there'd be 25 different results. But like you said, if Oliveira goes out there and he gets rocked by Gaethje and he has that moment like in the Chandler fight and even the Poirier fight where Poirier hurt him a little bit, Justin doesn't let you off the hook when he hurts you. Justin, he's probably one of the best finishers when he has somebody hurt in the UFC.
Totally agree.
When he smells that blood, he goes for the kill. But Oliveira is also the same way. When Oliveira hurts you, he also goes for the kill. And Chandler had Gaethje hurt that last fight as well. So like they both had those moments in their last couple of fights where they've been hurt. I mean, everybody's coming at the Khabib fight and like, well, Justin's ground game is trash. You see how easy Khabib did it. But Khabib's literally a different animal than a lot of these guys. There's no like when you feel his strength, it's a whole different thing. And Oliveira's ground game is obviously great, but he's also a guy that's sometimes gets comfortable on his back. Sit there and pull guard, and he'll go for a crazy submission and end up losing the position because he's trying to go for the submission a lot. Khabib goes for position first. He holds you down, and he forces you into a bad spot. Oliveira doesn't have the same type of jits. Another thing that Oliveira doesn't have that Khabib does, Khabib goes for low doubles and great shots like that, and he's good at changing direction. Oliveira's more like body locks and upper body takedowns, sweeps, and you have to get closer to him. And when you get close to Justin Gaethje, that's when he cracks you. And I feel like big key in this is the low kicks. Oliveira stands straight up, and that's going to leave that calf kick wide open. And if Gaethje still thinks that Oliveira has some break in him, if he's a guy that thinks that he'll break him again, low kicks would be the type of thing to break you. Like when I say a lot of guys when it's about the calf kick nowadays, it's about harder and it's about just pushing through. If Oliveira still has some of that weakness that he used to have in him, and he doubted him, once you start feeling a couple of those calf kicks from Gaethje, maybe it'll make him break again, honestly, if he still has it. Like you said, I want to see Justin win this fight just to see him be that undisputed champion. But I just think, man, I don't know. I just think Oliveira he's just so good everywhere, man. He's just a monster in the cage. But I think when you see it, like he'll get into wars. And he's not afraid to get into wars. And he got into a war with Poirier in that first round. And Gaethje's the type of guy that make you get into wars with him. And guys, for some reason, always get into wars with him, even if they're not that type of fighter. So I'm gonna go with Justin here. I think we're getting finish.
I love it, dude. I love how like some of these, it's like, do you really not, you don't really know exactly where you're going, right? When we start talking, do you?
No, I literally start
love
talking.
it.
I'll talk myself in this direction and I'll bring it back.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, that's why I stopped gambling on MMA. It's like, why? Just enjoy it. Cody.
Yeah, I think you just said it perfectly. This is one of those fights where you leave all your bets to end at the co-main event and you sit back and you just watch a blood sport of a fight. I mean, this is as gladiatorial as it gets. Brazil sending their best, America sending their best into the UFC octagon to settle the score. And I just think I love the feeling, and everyone watching this knows what this feels like when you're sitting at home and you say something and Joe or John or DC says it like a minute after. It's exactly what happened with me and Bully right here, because the leg kicks, I just think it is a huge factor. And part of what you said about Charles being comfortable on his back is Justin's not going to let you just sit there and, play the kick game with your heads like this. Like, he's going to smack those legs. And that's not somebody that you want to just be eating useless leg kicks from, because that guy literally said in the media scrums this week, they're like, "Oh, what are your plans for Sunday?" And he goes, "Well, if I'm alive, I'm going to go and hang out with my mom. It's Mother's Day." Like, he's a dog. And he has literally been jawing at Charles Oliveira for so long about that. But Charles Oliveira, one of only 2 UFC fighters in history who load over half their wins by sub. Bully, do you know who the other person is?
Gerald Meerschaert.
Yes. Did you know that? Or?
I didn't know that, but I was thinking of like the best submission guys in the UFC. And literally, his name was the first one that popped in.
Yeah, that's crazy. 52% for Oliveira. Most finishes in UFC history, most sub wins in UFC history. Tied for first in bonuses, actually, with Cerrone. So I think that's another interesting thing. I think I heard a stat this just today from Ken Hathaway, Cold Coffee, over at MMA Junkie. Said there was like 99 bonuses across this card, like in their history.
Wow. I was about to say, they could probably raise the bonuses for this card. I'm surprised they haven't brought it up. Maybe Tony brought it up at the press conference, but
Yeah,
well, he ain't getting it if he brought it up. So, but my pick for this fight, not that anybody really cares, is don't put money on it. Just watch this fight. It's gonna be fantastic action. Oliveira by sub, 3rd round.
Whoa, Oliveira by sub. That also worries me too, because you saw in that fight where Gaethje got taken down by Chandler, and he did like a little roll, somersault roll to get out. Like, he'll try to scramble out. But like Oliveira will jump on your back from any spot. Like I said, sometimes I get you in a good spot, sometimes I get you in a bad spot where you're just trying to jump for any submission. And Oliveira has that. He can be reckless on his feet because he's so good off of his back. So like, he'll throw a jumping knee, flying knee, jumping kick, and he can throw those crazy moves because he doesn't care if you take him down, because he'll play off his back, or he'll jump for a spot if you go on his guard. Like, he's not worried about you taking him down at all. So like, he could throw spinning elbow, spinning back fist, things like that. Man, it's gonna be a great fight. Like,
I can't wait.
There's zero chance that anybody's gonna win fight of the night besides these 2.
I hear you, dude. So what are you doing tomorrow night? Tomorrow
night. Yeah, I want to have it at because I'm working in the morning. We're working like at the early weigh-ins, and then the ceremonial weigh-ins. I want to do a game show at the weigh-in show. So if any fans that are in a crowd, I'll be outside. Like I said, you have a chance to win tickets to the fight. So it's basically gonna be the game show where I'm gonna have 2 fans go against each other. I'm gonna put a question on my phone, maybe a face mash, and then whoever answers the question first, they win. And then they'll get another opponent. And then they can either take a cash app that I offer them, or they can continue on. And if you get 10 questions right and you beat 10 fans, you get free tickets to the fight. So there's gonna be some fun tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. You guys see me at the weigh-ins. Make sure you guys run out to me, ask me about the game show part, and then we'll have a good time.
And you get to meet Bilal Muhammad. I haven't met Bilal Muhammad. So it is fascinating, like that whole thing. And, some of it was obviously COVID, but also it is just sort of lifestyles. It's like, it is just weird because I've been on the UFC road tour a bunch with John. It's like, when the hell is John going to go? You're going to be fighting in a main event in front of a crowd, and you can be sure John's going to be in the building, and I'm going to, come on.
Man, I'm hearing rumors that the July card may be in Chicago, so I'm hoping that ends up coming through. I think it's July 22nd.
That sounds like a perfect date.
Yeah, we can talk about that rumored fight with Nate Diaz and Chimaev. Like, what the? Like, I really hope that's just a fake rumor because it doesn't make any sense to me at all of why it's even being considered.
I don't even have a word. You know how I feel about those. I just throw my hands up. I don't really know what to say. It doesn't interest me at all. And like that, like Conor McGregor fighting, I'm much more interested in the guys that are continuing to win and seek championship belts. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't really have time for the sideshow. And it's not like I don't like Diaz McGregor. I like watching them fight, but I'm much more focused on the sport and
let them fight each other.
Yeah, I hear you. Seriously. Here you go. And Bilal, they got to boost your wrestling stats in the Otis the Beefy one. I like that. See, like, I need to go buy this game so I can check out, make sure everything's where it needs to be.
Buy this game. Your brother's literally in the game. You don't have to buy the game. You get that free code.
I just, I play video, anyway, we're going to get.
He's like, what video game?
You're ahead here. I'm glad you're on the television set again. We'll be back next Thursday night, I believe. Which will be
Aaron Allen may be on the show next week, guys.
There you go. And dude, I'm gonna say it again. Cody, we gotta try to get Kenny Florian Ray Longo on the show at some point. So keep that in mind. But anyway, we appreciate you all tuning in Thursday night as usual. For Bilal, remember the name Muhammad and Cody Merrow. I'm Jason Anik. We'll see you in a week. Enjoy the fights. UFC 274. Later.